Bonjour, bonjour, c'est Monsieur Auguster avec une autre vidéo leçon pour vous. D'accord? Aujourd'hui, on parle du passé composé des verbes irréguliers. D'accord? Up to this point, we've only talked about the past tense or the passé composé of verbs that are regular. Okay? Today we're going to talk about the past tense, the passé composé of irregular verbs. So you should ask yourself that question, what is the difference between a regular and an irregular verb? Well, if you recall, a regular verb is conjugated in a pattern that works for more than one verb. Okay? So in French, there are three types, main types of regular verbs. We have verbs that end in ER, verbs that end in IR, and verbs that end in RE. Right? And we learned the specific pattern of how to conjugate each of those in the present tense. Right? At the same time, we have irregular verbs. And remember, we had to learn each of those by themselves. Right? We have our little poster in the corner of irregular verbs. And remember, we had to memorize them because the pattern for each of those verbs does not work for any other verb. It only works for that one verb. Now, in the passé composé of regular verbs, we saw that those also followed a pattern. They worked for more than one of the verbs. Okay? So if you want to put a ER verb into the passé composé, as we know, we have our subject, and then we put avoir, and then we take off the ER and add an E with an accent aigu. Okay, that's the pattern. And remember, for RE verbs, it's the same thing. You have your subject, avoir, and then you take off the RE and add a U. Same thing for IR verbs. You have your subject, avoir, take out the IR and add an I. Now, that works fine and dandy for regular verbs. But what about if you want to put an irregular verb into the past tense? You cannot do that. Okay? Just as we had to learn how each of them are conjugated, we're now going to have to learn the passé composé for each of those verbs. And conveniently, I have them here for you. I've kind of rubbed that one out. So I'll go for you to write them down. I'll pronounce each of them as we go along. Okay. The past participle of mettre is mis. The past participle of permettre is permis. The past participle of prendre is pris. The past participle of comprendre is compris. The past participle of apprendre is appris. The past participle of dire is dit. The past participle of écrire is écrit. Past participle of avoir, that's an E, is EU. U. U. So it gets kind of tricky with avoir because you still use avoir as your helping verb. So it's tu as eu. The past participle of croire is cru. The past participle of voir is vu. The past participle of boire is bu. The past participle of devoir is du. Notice a little circonflexe on the U. The past participle of pouvoir is pu. The past participle of lire is lu. So past participle of recevoir is reçu. Vouloir is voulu. Voulu. And then we have two kind of exceptions. You'll notice here that these ones all end in the same E sound that we have in our IR verbs. You'll notice all of these end in the U sound that we have for our RE verbs. Same sound, right? But then we have these two exceptions. which are être and faire. They're extremely important verbs, so you have to know these two for sure. The past participle of être is été. Past participle of faire is fait. Okay? So knowing that, what can you do with those? Well, now you can use your irregular verbs in the past tense. I know you've been waiting for that. So, for instance, let's try it with these. So these were sentences with regular verbs. Let's try some with irregular. So if I wanted to say, you understood for this one, I know that comprendre, of course, means to understand. So I look down here and I look at the past participle of comprendre is compris. So it's tu as compris. Okay, and that would be the same for any subject. Okay, if it was he understood, again, it would be il a compris. For nous, for we understood, it would again be nous avons compris. Okay, so it's the same for all of them. So once you learn the individual past participle, you know it for all subjects. Another example, if I wanted to say he learned, it would be apprendre, right? Apprendre, right? The past participle is appris. So, plug that in. Il a appris. Usually you say he learned something. Let's go with we said. So we said something. Look down for dire, which of course means to say. The past participle is dit, so it's nous avons dit. Okay. So these, all these past participles. So just as we had to learn the conjugation for all of those irregular verbs, we have to learn the past participle of all of these irregular verbs. So you need to memorize these so that you can use them quickly. For lundi, for Monday, yes, Monday. For Monday, I would like you to faire une phrase pour chaque verbe. Okay, a sentence for each verb using the past tense. Okay, so you will make a sentence up for mettre, prendre, comprendre. You will use the past participles, the ones in red. Okay, and don't forget your avoir. Okay, we're still using avoir. All right, you'll have your subject, avoir, past participle. The only thing that's changing now is that our past participle does not follow is not one of these three. It's not a e or a u or an I. It's a whole new thing. Okay, so you just have to memorize these. So try making a sentence for each of these verbs. Okay, and I will see you lundi. D'accord? À lundi.